SABC reporter Vusi Kumalo, who I indicated is Emahlabathini, Ulundi, that of course being the village of the late Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Vusi, just talk us through, obviously, you know, the scenes of what is taking place there where you are. I see right behind you, you know, lots of course will be said over the next couple of days, but of course you being in the village there, talk us through the sentiment that is being shared this morning, in particular in his village.
Yes, it's a somber mood outside the home and also inside the home of the late statesman Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi. As I'm stepping out of the shot so that Babu Tulani Ngobo can show you what is exactly is happening here. Seeing here on or sitting on the chairs are some of the elderly people who have gathered here to pay their last respects. As you can see, there is one policeman who is Bungane Mtimkulu, who is manning the gates, ushering in some of the prominent people going inside the home of the late leader to pay their last respects. Just now we have seen the convoy driving the premier of the province, Nomusa Dube and Ngube. We've also seen other family members of Buthelezi. Just a moment ago, his body was ushered out of his home, led by the religious leaders, the Anglican Church leaders, as well as Amakosi and Izinduna, who were here in song and dance, performing and observing all the protocols that are associated whenever there are such news. As I'm stepping out of the shot, there are some cars going in. At the moment, we cannot confirm who do they belong to. If perhaps we can bring in some of our colleagues, as well as some of the colleagues who can talk on this matter of the passing on of Buthelezi. Early this morning, ironically on the day of Umkosi Umhlanga, which is currently happening not very far away from where we are, because we are in Ulundi, which its neighboring village is of course Nongoma, where there's a royal ceremony in the name of Umkosi Womhlanga, which is currently taking place there. We have also seen some close family members of Buthelezi, having also seen one of his sons, and Tuntu Buthelezi, who is also here, and also some very close family members from Buthelezi clan. These are some of the Indunas, Amakosi, Amabutho, who have gathered here to pay their last respects. Let us see if we can talk to one or two of them, starting with Ubaba Eric Buthelezi, a very close family member of the late leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Just to get your reactions, sir, upon the demise of this leader who has been described as one of the torchbearers in the South African politics.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu msakazi. I must say it's a complete shock to us as family members. We are so shocked. In fact, it's a big loss to us, but we also feel sorry for the entire nation, because it's a loss to everyone. We know he's contributed quite a lot to almost everybody's life in South Africa and even out of South Africa. So we are feeling so sorry for everyone, but it's a complete shock to all of us.
We know that he's been in and out of hospital after his 94th birthday, and just his death happened just 2 weeks after his 95th birthday, and then coming in here being discharged from hospital and dying just 2 weeks after that. And what would it mean, especially in Zulu culture, when someone dies or passes away at home?
It's a very clear message that he is the head of the family, and that where his life ends is where his roots are. So it's something that we need to respect. Even the fact that he passed away on this very special day of the Reed Dance ceremony, that's a very special significance of the fact that he is the big man in our nation. So it's a complete loss to everyone.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu mase.
Siyabonga.
Let us see if we can get a word from the regent of Prince. Yes, if we can speak to. I don't know if we can get just a word from me, just to hear what protocols will then follow after this.
Bafowethu sofuna senze nje sonke abanumzane bonke laba koButhelezi kofuna kuyohlala ngaphakathi kule ndawo zohlala kodwa kwamanje ngoba nisenza lesimo kofanele hlala mzala ngena nami uyele ngaphakathi ngoba khona ngizokufuna kuwe ngizolinda nje la ngizonicela nonke nezinduna nilinde la kakhulukazi izinduna ngiyayifuna kakhulukazi izinduna ngiyayifuna shenge zonke induna ezifikayo ngiyayifuna ngisanga phakathi ngiyabuya khona manje
Ukuzwa nje la Shenge ngokuwa komuthi omkhulu siyaxolisa ukuthi sesibuza impilo ekubeni isimo sasibona sinjani kodwa uwile umuthi omkhulu ngabe lokho emndenini wakaButhelezi nithini nishaya kakhulu siyanibona kodwa nithini ezweni sonke sinilalele sinibuka
oqala makhulunywa nje ngokuhamba komntwana umqondo wami usadidekile izolo bengila ngasibona isimo ukuthi asihle kahle kodwa bengayitshenti ngizozokunye bengicabanga nje ukuthi uzoba ngcono njoba ngishilo nasemsakazweni ukuthi indodana umntwana bengizama ukungithinta ngingacoshakali ngizengakuzwe ekseni nezimbobo ikacaca ukuze ukuthi umntwana sehambile kodwa akangibeki umuntu icala ngalokho ngoba egcineni ngize ngakhona angikhalele isizwe sonke sikaZulu ubuhlungu uvelele isizwe sikaZulu umntwana umisile uNkulunkulu umntwana mathatha amakhosi awabekileyo ubeke elanyo ezala lebuzile wabeka lebuzile wabeka lena ibekileyo khona ebeka amakhosi nje uNkulunkulu besiphileke nabafowethu 95 years asisho bekufanele ahambe kodwa uNkulunkulu ukwasipha futhi usebenzele umhlaba ngiyeza shenge usebenzele umntwana umhlaba ngiyacela nje ukuthi induna zenkosi benihlanganise nonke amakhanda ngoba ngiyabuya ngizakini nabanomzana
siyathokoza that's the regent leader of let's just see if we can see yes just get you the daughter of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi Phumzile, who's also the leader of the IFP's Women's Brigade, giving a hearty hugs to the Deputy President of the IFP, Mzamo Buthelezi, and also engaging with the region leader of Buthelezi, Glen Mpiyake Buthelezi, was speaking just now, saying how devastated are they about the passing on of Buthelezi. He's also giving marching orders to his subjects, saying that they must remain here outside because there are some important gatherings here and also some protocol that needs to be observed. Let us see if we can talk to some of the prominent leaders. Mzamo Buthelezi, I don't know if we can talk to just a word. I don't know if you can just get away, just your reaction, Baba. We know that the passing on of Buthelezi is such a big loss to you, especially someone who has groomed you to become the leader you are today, now a member of parliament.
Yes. I think because we've interviewed Ibamba, that's enough. For now, we are a bit confused. We are trying to take care of many things here. So let's just leave it there. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Yes, as he's saying that as the family, they are to be given a little bit of space so that they can be able to maneuver and also navigate this issue, which came as a shock because it is an untimely death. Let us bring in our colleague now, and Mhlongo, who can perhaps give us some of the latest in terms of the protocol or what to follow after this. Seeing now new visuals are the son of Buthelezi and Tuntu Buthelezi, one of the sons, was also embracing Buthelezi's daughter Phumzile Buthelezi. Let us talk to him and also just to get a reaction, Baba Shenge. Just uphefumula nje ukuthi ubaba beni njengamalungu omndeni akaButhelezi bewumuntu siyamazi obebhizi empilweni yakhe ezepolitiki kodwa ekhaya ube ubaba nawe uyindodana yakhe kusho ukuthini lokho kuwena?
Ngizothi sife olembiza uZulu wonkana nje nesizwe sonke sakwaButhelezi siqhameke ngeqwandwala ngoba yonke imisebenzi yakhe umntwana ibisobala nokuthula ezweni ube sithulisa isizwe sonke noma kunezibhelu ngapha nangapha kodwa yena uma seqhamukile isizwe sonke besimhlonipha simlalela. Sifo lwembiza ke ngoba emlandweni wonke wesizwe abenawo labantu abaningi ade belokhu befisa ukuthi bazothekela ulwazi noma bazocosha izeluleko. Sonke siyakhala mzwa kwethu, siyakhala sonke nesizwe sonke sakwaButhelezi noZulu wonkana.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Siyathokoza.
Sokwalisa. That's Mr. Ntuntu Buthelezi, one of the sons of the late leader Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi, one of the late leader's sons, saying that his father has always been a voice of reason. Whenever there are some disputes, people will come in here so that they can get more valuable lessons and also some of the solutions that will then offer from time to time so that this nation is rich with knowledge. As we have seen, Buthelezi has been guiding a lot of people, especially with regards to the processes and traditional customs of the Zulu nation. We saw that during the entering of the kraal of the current heir to the throne, Mrs. Zulu Kazwelithini. Let us bring in our colleague now, Andam Mhlongo, if she does have any latest development with regards to what's to follow from here, as we have seen the Premier getting in, the Premier of the province, Mangosuthu Buthelezi. And what's the latest? What is it that you have so far?
Well, as you were saying, they've also that the Premier of the province, accompanied by the MEC for Social Development, Nonhlanhla Khoza, they're the first to arrive here. Of course, the Premier leading the delegation or the Provincial Executive Council. She's here to extend her condolences on behalf of the people of KwaZulu-Natal to the members of the Buthelezi family. We have also been in communication with the IFP. You briefly just spoke to the Deputy President of the IFP, Mzamo Buthelezi, who's also, of course, wearing two hats, also being a family member. The latest that we're getting is that the IFP leaders have now converged in Ulundi, which is not far from where we are, and they are then all in convoy, will then be making their way here to the family home. Of course, as we have earlier on been indicating, that delegation will be led by IFP President Velenkosini SABC. And so the plan for the IFP, of course, is they will then go in and meet with the family and then come out, and the IFP President is then going to be addressing some of the community members, the traditional leaders that have already come out here as the mourners keep on trickling in. We understand that there could possibly be a media briefing later on today by the IFP, and that media briefing will then give us and the nation clarity in terms of what is going to happen over the next couple of days. Of course, as we've been saying, Vusi, that while there's a lot in terms of government that is being done, but also many traditional processes in terms of culture and customs need to also be followed. We are talking here about the traditional Prime Minister of the Zulu Nation. We also did earlier on, Vusi, speak about a delegation that was going to go and notify His Majesty King Mangosuthu Buthelezi. As in tradition, a delegation needed to go and personally notify the King. We are now awaiting direction from His Majesty in terms of what is going to happen, whether or not he is going to order that the nation go into mourning and the processes that will happen, which means all events and cultural events be suspended until Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi is laid to rest. But all of that is something that we will hear once we have spoken to the royal family and once a decision has been made. But for now, now, of course, we are waiting the senior leadership of the IFP as well as the provincial government is also going to be coming through. But I think most important and importantly to the Buthelezi family, like we saw earlier on this morning, it's the local community members. These were Nkosi Buthelezi's family, his extended family, so to speak. And it was interesting to see earlier on where a lot of the dignitaries that had already arrived here were stopped at the gate, but it was the ordinary community members that were allowed to actually go inside. And I think that said a lot about how Nkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi treated his neighbors, how he treated this. This wasn't just a community to him. From what we've been hearing from the community members that we've been speaking to, is that they were family. No one living nearby would go to sleep on an empty stomach. Whenever they had challenges, whatever those challenges might be, he was always just a phone call or a walk away. So certainly a lot of community members are going to be trickling in to come and pay their respects. And of course, IFP members as well across South Africa will no doubt, Vusi, over the next coming days be coming here to pay their last respects.
And also, having spoken to a number of them earlier on, we spoke about one man who was saying that Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the late Mangosuthu Buthelezi, was also responsible for building schools and also championing the issue of development, especially here in rural areas, but in Durban as well. There are even some institutions that are named on after Buthelezi.
Yeah, one namely the Technicon in Umlazi, the Nkosi Mangosuthu Technicon. Certainly a lot of development, but of course that was done during the time, Vusi, when the IFP was leading the province of KwaZulu-Natal in the late 90s, the early 2000s, when they were still governing the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But even after, I mean, even when the ANC had taken over governance in the province, Nkosi Buthelezi continued to champion development. There's still a lot that was done, that was built thereafter. He was a man who wanted to see his community changed, particularly as well. I mean, with change, also the younger generation as well. He was one that promoted and advocated for education. And so we are seeing, I mean, if you're moving around the area, you are seeing his legacy. You are seeing what he built, where he went out and sourced resources for development in the area. And certainly, I mean, I think when we are listening to the community members, it's a huge blow to them. You can clearly tell that they have lost more than just a leader. Remember, to many of the community members here, that's a mixed. Some are not necessarily members of the IFP, but they are his subjects under the Buthelezi clan, and of course neighboring areas as well. And you can just see from their loss, from their facial expressions, from what they've been saying in the conversations among themselves, that they've really lost a champion for the community, somebody who had high hopes of developing this area even further. So a huge loss, particularly to the local community.
Thanks a lot, Ayanda. That's Ayanda Mhlongo, our reporter here at SABC. We are outside the gates of the home of the late IFP leader who has retired as President Emeritus of the IFP, having passed on early this morning, with the President also Cyril Ramaphosa sending a statement, also sending his condolences and also remembering on the life and times of the late leader. Let us see if we can talk to some of the locals now who have come here to pay their last respects. Let's see if we can baba nje kafushane ngenkulu inhlonipho sithole nje igama nesibongo nokuthi ubaba nje obeselapho uzodlulisa amazwi okudabuka kanjalo nendumalo ukuthi kuhambe umuthi omkhulu. Baba, igama nesibongo sakho kuqala.
Igama Phuwa Inkosi Kabela. Ngenduna enkosi yaKwaButhelezi. Yoba size lapha nje sizinduna size ngokudumala. Wasihajelwe ubaba wethu uyena obesiphethe ezweni. Engaphethe thina induna sodwa ke phethe ke izwe lonke. Ngoba khona nje akukho lapha ngaziwa khona ngisho phesheya uyaziwa ngisho nalapha uyaziwa. ebesicela nje ukuthi uNkulunkulu nje ube semthathile abese kuba khona omunye azomveza kwaButhelezi ukuthi abukhanyise ilambu njengaye ngoba siyathanda ukuthi izwe lakithi liphile ngoba siyabona ukuthi asekuphila noma bangakhona akekho uyofana nalendoda bekuyindoda emadodeni ibingesaba ukukhuluma iqiniso athi khuluma nje udaba lukaZuma uthi kanti uZuma wenzani licala lingapheli wonke amacala abantu ayaphela kodwa elikaZuma beliqale phansi lifike lithethe kuthiwa uliwenile emva kweliwenile usekuthiwa akabuyele ejele kwakhona inloko ngabe ibosho singakanani ngabe igcwele amajele wonke ibosho bebuyiselwe mayizenza icala impela kusiphatha kabuhlungu ke ngoba sesiyabona ukuthi hayi yobe ngasekho nje akusekho kusasilungela
That's one of the local Izinduna here saying that it's a huge blow especially for this community because Shenge, as they normally call him, is irreplaceable. Someone who has led and also championed their development here in this area of Mahlabatini, and is also saying that Shenge has been known worldwide and has always been championing the issue of development, especially in rural areas. He has worked tirelessly in order to ensure that the locals they do benefit in terms of the development. He's also saying that Shenge has been that person who has never shied away from speaking his mind. He will talk about the topical issues related to the former president of the country, Jacob Zuma, saying that what kind of sin Zuma has done that have led to him being arrested, and what sort of matters that have always been associated with him, saying that Sheng has been that person who has been asking difficult questions, even though it is not fashionable at that time. So that's a kind of leader that we have lost, especially the locals. They are saying that they are very much devastated by the news, because many of them were preparing to go to Umkhosi Womhlanga, the so-called reed dance ceremony that is currently taking place at the Royal Palace of Enyogeni, not very far from here. It's about a 30-minute drive from Mahlabatini, where we are in Ulundi. As Ian has alluded to earlier on about the protocols and also what's to follow from here, as we have seen the convoy of the Premier of the province, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who has been ushered in by the police personnel here, standing here at this gate as I'm stepping out of the shore, so that you can see some of the activities that are taking place here. Yes, having seen Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the Premier of the province, having entered as well, and also earlier on, the body of the late leader has been ushered out, led by the religious leaders, namely the Anglican church leaders, including Musa Zondi, who was leading that clergy team, who is the former Secretary General of the IFP. We know that he led the IFP just before Zanele, before 2010 or so. In those years, he was the Secretary General of the IFP, so he was leading that clergy team that performed some of the religious rituals, and also some of the rituals that were performed by the regent leader of KwaPhindangene Inkosi, the regent Inkosi Mpiyakhe Buthelezi, who is now presiding over some of the activities, many of the activities that are to take place, as now the leader of this clan, Buthelezi clan, the KwaPhindangene. He's the one who's presiding all over the proceedings of what to follow. It's just that we're going to have an interview with him so that he tells us the way forward. He also had some marching orders outside here telling his Induna what's to follow after this. But at the moment, we are also expecting the Premier of the province so that we can have a word with her when she comes out of this home of the late leader, and also later on the IFP president Velenkosini Hlabisa, we are told that is currently engaged with his National Executive Committee in a closed meeting with that committee, so that they plan the way forward, and thereafter in the afternoon they will have a media briefing with the media so that they can tell the whole nation as to how to handle this matter of the passing on of Buthelezi. We know that many leaders were also here in northern KwaZulu-Natal to be part of the Umkhosi Womhlanga. We'll get some reactions later on, but yeah, at the moment what is currently taking place, you can see that the media has just arrived as well. Some of the other broadcasters have also arrived to converge here so that they can get this news from the horse's mouth, as well even from some of the local people who have gathered here, who held Buthelezi in high esteem. Criselda.
Vusi Khumalo, thank you very much indeed. SABC News reporters live on the ground for us. Vusi there at the village of the late Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi.